I know that the last grant I stated after we done part of it, I said, not a single solitary job for Scotland Lake. And we have to be cognizant of that, and that's why I mentioned it. So I don't mean for us to be here all night, but if one of the board members would make that motion that we develop language like that.
I'll go on the record stating in the minutes, Nancy, that we would like you to look into some language to place in future bids to add to being the lowest responsible and responsive bidder without interfering with that process, that if somebody could show that they were going to hire some local people in addition to that, that would be something we could consider when choosing who we adopt a bid for.
And I think just a statement like that in it will be something that people who make bids will certainly be sensitive to. I think that's something that have an impression on them, and that's what we want. All right, let's have a motion if we could. Yes, Mr. Patton.
I think it would, and I've seen the discussion before with other communities, it will be helpful to everyone concerned that if there be an expectation that the Employment Security Commission be the conduit for that hiring, I think the contractors will be a little more comfortable and not if the language isn't written in such a way, they may feel they have to hire them off the street, and that's not really the way most business people want to conduct business. That the Employment Security Commission. The other thing that will do too is that you can prime the pump. If you're putting out a bid, you let local folks know that there's a job coming up that could have some unskilled position, and get on down to the Job Link Center or the Employment Security Commission to sign up for any number of a range of unskilled.
Thank you so much for that. And to prove what you just said, one of the contractors asked me, did we have a local temporary agency that they could get people from? So they've heard this before, and apparently that's the way that they do it. And I really thank you for that. Of course, we do have Job Link here, and maybe that would be the conduit that they could use in order to screen these workers and funnel them into this. But first now, if somebody would, now the ideas that I've heard from our conversation is that we do want to develop such language. And if somebody would make a motion to that effect, and somebody second it, then we can vote on that. Then we'll vote on the acceptance of the bid. Yes, ma'am.
If this Joe Blow is hired, if he gets hurt on the job, who's responsible? The town or the contractor? The contractor, will that be in writing?
Now, I'm not an attorney on that, but I would think that would be workman's compensation. The contractors have insurance for that kind of thing, and the town doesn't have any liability there that I know of. Okay. All right. Can I have a motion?
I'll get back with the motion. That's what you'd like getting in. I make a motion that you research, Nancy, through appropriate channels, a way to add some language so that when we're putting out bids, in addition to searching for the lowest responsible responsive bidder, that we could also word in without interfering with those three primary requirements, that we also be able to allow some weight to whether or not there are any locals that are able to be hired for the positions that may be temporary and needing to be hired for anyway.
Second. All right. It's been moved and properly second that Ms. Jackson be directed to come up with language along the lines of what Mr. Dobson said. It's been moved and properly second. Any other discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you so much. That is a big step, progress-wise.
I now make a motion that we authorize the resolution, excuse me, we already done that. I now make a motion that we accept the bid
All right,
as presented,
that's it.
by Herring Ribbon Bark.
And I have a second.
Second.
Been moved and properly second that we accept the bid from Rickenbach,
Ribbon Bark.
and, it's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda. Yes, Mr. Patty.
Mayor, if please forward you, there's a, you look at item number 2, it has actually 2 subparts, and we've skipped one of those. And so it would be all right with you, I'd like to take up that second item, called the Language Access Plan. which is
Oh,
related to
yes,
the,
yes. All right, thank you, Mr. Patton, for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate that. Let's, let Mr. Patton continue with that. That's a very important, piece to go with that. Mr. Patton, can you move forward with that?
As you see in the agenda packet, there's a 9-page document that outlines a policy, basically, in the plan, an action plan. And it is one of the new requirements of any community that is going to receive funding, community development block grant funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development funneled through the state, coming to the local government. It's the same as the, the fair housing, there's a plan that you will adopt or have, I think when you did the concentrated need, the consideration for handicapped folks and the like. This is a new one, and had come into the picture last fall with the Division of Community Assistance and all of the existing community that had existing grant, community development block grant, had to adopt this plan. So we're preparing you for that moment when you receive the award. Basically, in 9 pages, I can cut it down pretty briefly. It is basically saying that you recognize that there are folks who may come to the town or live in the town who do not have either none or limited English proficiency. That you will make an attempt to help them to understand any of the documentation or any of the activities if they need assistance in terms of an interpreter. Basically, it's an interpretation. There are means, and we kind of mentioned that in the plan. This is basically a template that the Division of Community Assistance put out. We took it and made it reasonable for a small town to implement. But basically, what it boils down to is it's a policy saying that the town will help anyone who comes to the town asking for interpretation of things that are written in English that they cannot understand. And much of this effort and most of the state is directed toward helping individual, but in some parts of the state, other languages are critical as well. But anyway, the plan is basically the same across the state.